The marble floors of Edward Langston's Chicago mansion gleamed under the soft glow of recessed lights, each step echoing in the cavernous hallway as he returned home early from a grueling business trip in September 2025. At 52, Edward, a tech mogul with sharp gray eyes and a tailored suit, craved the sterile silence of his carefully curated world, a sanctuary of order amidst the chaos of boardrooms, contracts, and hollow handshakes. His life was a machine of precision, every book aligned, every surface polished, every moment controlled. But as he crossed the threshold, a strange sound pierced his fortress, a soft, rhythmic murmur, like the sighs of sleeping children, alien in the symphony of his solitude. In the kitchen, usually a shrine of stainless steel and minimalism, Edward froze. Maria Alvarez, his housekeeper of 5 years, stood at the counter, her hands trembling with fatigue as she chopped vegetables. Slung across her chest were 2 infants, no older than 6 months, their tiny hands clutching her worn apron, their breaths soft but steady. Maria, 38, with dark hair pulled into a messy bun and shadows under her warm brown eyes, moved with a quiet resolve, her exhaustion masked by determination. Edward's first instinct was outrage, his sanctuary violated, his rules shattered. "Maria, what is this?" he demanded, voice low, edged with steel. She turned, startled but unyielding, her gaze meeting his without apology. "Mr. Langston, I'm sorry," she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "These are my sister's babies. She died last week, car accident. Their father's gone, no one knows where. Their grandmother can't manage. I had no choice." The words hung heavy, each one a plea and a promise. Edward's jaw tightened. He was a man of systems, not sentiment, a life built on discipline, not chaos. These children, their fragile existence, were an invasion of everything he'd constructed to shield himself from the world's mess. He wanted to order her out, to restore the pristine quiet he'd cultivated since his divorce a decade ago, when emotions had nearly broken him. But something in Maria's eyes stopped him. Despair woven with defiance, a loyalty to her sister's memory that burned brighter than his rules. The babies stirred, one letting out a soft whimper, and Maria adjusted the sling, her touch gentle yet fierce, as if her arms were their only shield from a crumbling world. Edward's anger faltered. He saw not defiance, but sacrifice. A woman who'd brought chaos into his home not out of carelessness, but out of a love he'd long forgotten how to feel. For 3 days, Maria had broken every rule of his household, sneaking the twins in, tending them between her duties, hiding their presence to protect them. Edward learned the story in fragments: her sister's sudden death, the father's disappearance, the grandmother's frailty. Maria had nowhere else to turn, no savings, no family, just a promise to keep the twins safe. Edward wrestled with himself, discipline clashing with a stirring compassion he hadn't felt in years. He didn't send her away. Instead, he made a choice that surprised even himself. "Stay," he said, voice gruff. "The guest suite's yours. We'll figure this out." The days that followed were a quiet revolution. Maria moved into the suite, her presence softening the mansion's edges. The twins, Mia and Lucas, filled the air with coos and cries, their makeshift cribs tucked beside Maria's bed. Edward, unused to such life, found himself pausing at their sounds, their tiny hands gripping his finger when he dared to get close. He hired a nanny to help, paid for formula and clothes, claiming it was temporary. But the house began to change. Maria's laughter echoed as she sang to the twins, her cooking, aromatic stews and fresh tortillas, replacing the sterile takeout Edward once lived on. His world, once a fortress of deals and deadlines, began to shift. At his company, Langston Tech, he overheard colleagues marvel at his softened demeanor, unaware of the twins' influence. Maria, grateful but wary, offered to pay rent, her pride fierce. Edward waved it off. "You're keeping this place alive," he said, surprising himself with the truth of it. One evening, as Maria read to the twins, Edward joined them, awkward at first, holding Lucas, who gurgled against his chest. The moment cracked something open in him, a memory of his own daughter, now grown, whom he'd lost to distance after the divorce. The past wasn't done testing them. Maria's estranged brother surfaced, demanding custody of the twins, claiming he'd step up for profit, not love. Edward, leveraging his network, hired a lawyer to secure Maria's guardianship, uncovering the brothers' history of neglect. In court, Maria stood tall, her voice steady as she vowed to protect Mia and Lucas. Edward sat in the back, a silent pillar, his resources her shield. The judge ruled in her favor, and Maria's relieved tears in the hallway felt like a victory for them both. By winter, the mansion was no longer a mausoleum. Maria's warmth, the twins' laughter, and Edward's quiet support wove a new rhythm. One night, as snow dusted the city, Edward set out coffee for Maria, the twins asleep upstairs. "You didn't just save them," he said, voice low. "You saved this place, me included." Maria's eyes softened. "You gave us a home, Mr. Langston. That's not small." He smiled, a rare warmth breaking through. "Call me Edward." The house's silence had transformed, not empty, but alive with the breath of a family forged by chance. Edward, once a man of wealth and walls, learned that true power wasn't in control, but in choosing to stand by those who needed him. The twins, Maria and Edward, weren't bound by blood, but by something stronger, the courage to open a door and let life in.